The Girsan MC P35 LW PI OPS. Let's check it out. Browning High Power was designed in 1935, and it was the last design of John Moses Browning, who passed away before the design was complete, and it was finished by FN engineers. But it still has that genius of John Moses Browning. This handgun has been used around the world in conflicts and by numerous armies, most notably by the UK forces. There are some deficiencies with this design for modern standards. So FN dropped the high power in 2018, which really opened the door for a number of other companies to take up the mantle. And this is the Girsan, and it is the MC P35. Now, they make a number of different models, but this is their compact. It's a lightweight frame, the aluminum alloy. But one of the big pluses for this handgun is this beaver tail, because one of the big problems with the high power is that if you have larger hands, you're likely to get hammer bite, and it's not a lot of fun. So this just solves that, and it allows you to get your hand up even closer. And one of the things about the high power is very balanced, it's very pointable, and yet it needed some updates. And this one's optics ready, it has a rail. This brings up the high power to a modern standard, and with this size, which is more compact, it can make a great concealed carry option. And I'm a big fan of Girsan. They are making some really high quality pistols. They are based in Turkey, and the EAA Corporation imports these into the United States. And so I want to give a big thank you to EAA for sending the Girsan MC P35 PI LW OPS for this review. But a cool gun. Well, the Girsan MC P35, that just designates the year that the high power was produced. The PI stands for the shorter slide. This is more of a compact size, and yet it still has that full grip, which you're going to be able to use your standard high power magazines. The LW stands for the lightweight frame. This is an aluminum alloy frame, and then the OPS means it's optics ready. Now, we had done a review earlier on this model without the accessory rail. This just kind of brings it up if you like lights on your firearms, which I highly recommend. Having a light option is going to be important, and it's something that's never been done before with the high power, at least that I know of. And then, of course, with the optics ready. Those are two huge pluses for this handgun that bring it up to date. But also, this beaver tail, this is really a big one, because, guys, that hammer can really bite you if you have the larger hands. Now, let's go ahead and drop our magazine. Again, we have 15 rounds. It is a Metgar magazine, which is really high quality. These are OEM mags for a lot of different companies. And we'll check to make sure the gun's unloaded. And it is. One thing you'll notice right away is that we don't have that magazine disconnect. And without the magazine inserted, you can't pull the trigger. That is the way on some of the traditional high powers. So this is just a great feature for them to bypass. And then again, there's a little bit of beveling right at the mag well. Just a little flare. Really, these kind of come in together at a point anyway. So not a big deal, but definitely a little bit easier. Another thing you'll notice is this lip right here on the front of the front strap. And this just allows for you to get your hand, and it just kind of locks it in. Now, if you have bigger hands, that could interfere a little bit, but this is a full grip high power. We have G10 scales. They're very well done. We have golf ball patterns here, and then it has this swirl that comes out. Nice texturing. It has a little bit of gripability on it already. No serrations on the front strap, none on the back strap. But again, it comes up that really nice beaver tail. While it does come out quite a bit, you can see where the hammer comes. So the hammer comes all the way back and nestles right there. And so you're going to be able to get a good, full, confident grip. And there are so many guys that have trouble with that. So this is really a big plus. And of course, this will take any of your Browning high power magazines, so you're good to go with that. And these are 15-round magazines over the traditional 13-round of the high power. Now we have extended safety, frame safety. It does have a detent, which the original high powers did not. It was just a press fit. You just pressed it up and it locks right here into the slide. And this will keep it from going back. But they are ambidextrous, which makes it nice for lefties and righties. Also, we have an extended magazine release. Now, this is not switchable to the other side, which is standard for your high power design. And it looks very similar to your 1911. But again, this has been just kind of increased, brought up, and honestly, it's really easy to be able to drop that magazine. And I didn't have any issues with dropping the magazine while we were at the range. Extended slide stop, and it comes all the way back. It does have kind of some line serrations right here on the top. So it's going to be really easy to grab and just bring that down. If you have a really high forward grip and you have longer thumbs, it may be a problem. For me, we didn't have any problems. In fact, this gun, and spoiler alert, we had no malfunctions. Now again, it is single action. So that means that if you are carrying this handgun, you can carry it cocked and locked, just like you can your 1911. And so you have to either rack the slide and bring the hammer back, or you can just cock the hammer back. And that should load around in the chamber. So really, you can carry 16 plus 1 in this gun and bring up your safety, and you're ready to go. And with that detent, I feel a little better about carrying this than I would the original high power, because that safety can just slip off really easy. We have a flat face trigger, and it's nice. We'll check that out in just a second. Serrations are really kind of a typical high power serrations, but easy to grab. No front serrations, but you have those high power cuts. Even though this is a shorter barrel, you're able to get that and do that press check if you want to. We have dovetailed front sight, and it's fiber optic, so that makes it really easy to see. And we have blacked out rear sight that's serrated. And it's actually part of the mounting plate for your red dot. Now this is made for your Shield RMSC footprint, which is definitely one of the most popular. The Holosun 407K also fits. It does take the rear sight off though when you do add a red dot, but it gives you that red dot capability. Smooth top shelf. The barrel length is 3.88 inches, whereas the original Browning high power is 4.87 inches. So it does just cut off about an inch just to give you a more compact size. And we have a 3-slot Picatinny rail. Now the rail is really full length, and it gives you that option to be able to have that light on the front, or if you want to put a laser on it. But really, this brings this up again with the red dot, with the Picatinny rail section, and really the size. It is a more compact size, and to be honest, the high power grip's already fairly short. It's a little bit shorter. It really kind of looks like a short slide with a full length grip. Now, when it comes to the sights, they are a more 1/3 co-witness type sight, which is funny considering you're going to remove your plate anyway. I would rather have some lower sights. One thing about it as well is the gap here, you really have to get it lined up. And that gap, just keeps it from really tightening in on, to me, a little better accuracy. But some guys like it a little bit wider, but I think this is just a little bit too wide for me. But we were still able to get good accuracy. And there is a nice undercut right here, so that just allows you to get your hand up even higher, and it's going to keep that bore axis a little bit lower. Now here with the original high power, you can see a very short little nub, and when that hammer comes back, now for me again, not just having medium-sized hands, it's not a problem for me. But a lot of guys definitely just get pinched, and if you again have those bigger hands. But this is the practical model. So this is a little bit of more of a commercial model. But here as you bring your safety up, there is a slight resistance to a detent, but it definitely is really easy for that to come down. And again, this one does have ambidextrous features. Now this is the full size, so you can see right away how much is taken off the front. And really all the parts are compatible, from what I understand, with the Girsan. I mean, it's a pretty much faithful copy. And again, you have that curved trigger, and there's no lip here at the bottom, but the grips are the same size. And so full length frame and shortened slide. But this does not have your accessory rail. It does not have your optics ready, and it's just slick at the top. We are dovetailed in at the front and the back. And you can see where there is no undercut like it is with the new model with the Girsan. Now here we have the Springfield Armory SA35, and this is again a faithful copy of the Browning High Power. I really love this handgun. There were a few issues with the extractor, but that was fixed, and so this has been a great gun. One thing they do here with Springfield is with the hammer. It's a little bit higher up, so when it comes back, it doesn't come back as far. And so this gives you a little bit more clearance, especially if you have those larger hands. And that's the way that Springfield Armory addressed it. Here, there is a slight beaver tail, but it's pretty much in line with the original Browning High Power. But you can see how far the original high power hammer comes with the Springfield Armory. Now, one thing that Girsan has really shined is having a number of different models. You can get this in the all steel frame. Here, you can get it without the accessory rail. It is optics ready. In fact, it's pretty much the same two pistols. This one just has the accessory rail. But they do make some standard traditional models, which we're getting ready to do a full review on one of those. And they have a number of others. And so really Girsan gives us a lot of choices with that original high power design, which I love that. Girsan is just a lot more flexible when it comes to a number of different models. And so honestly, you can find the high power that you really want. Now, 2018, FN introduced their new high power. This is a completely different overhaul. There's some good features to it, but it's a bigger gun. It's thicker. It does have the slide cut with the chamber all the way exposed. This is a great gun. I mean, it's just in itself. It does have the high power cuts, but overall, again, it's just a larger firearm. Plus, it does eliminate that hammer bite. So texturing on the front and back strap. I mean, there's a lot of things about this handgun, but to me, this kind of steps away from the traditional high power. Even the grip feels different. Still a fantastic gun. Well, we have a flat face trigger, and it's just some take up right here, about center. And then a nice crisp break, but it's a little bit heavy at the resistance. Reset right there. Trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge and Brownells. 6 pounds, 5.4 ounces. 6 pounds, 10 ounces. A little bit heavy, but not a bad trigger. And the weight on the Girsan MC P35, 25.89 ounces. Weight on your standard Browning High Power, 32.12 ounces. I mean, it's a considerable difference, but this does have the all steel frame. Big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammo, all made in the USA. One of the biggest suppliers of ammunition in the country. And a big thanks to Little Loaders for saving our thumbs. Guys, I'm a huge fan of the high power, and it's great to see different companies coming back with it, considering FN kind of dropped the original high power design. It's such a classic. There's something about holding it that just fits in your hand. And of course, these have served all over the world, and obviously through World War II, but then on beyond. Now, the EAA Corporation with the Girsan, this is a lightweight model. That means it has an aluminum frame. And really, it still shoots just as well as a steel framed high power, but less weight. It's optics ready. The sights are great. That fiber optic sight shows up in contrast well with that rear sight. The beaver tail makes this a pleasure for anyone to shoot. And that's one of the big problems with a lot of guys, is that standard high power little beaver nub, it would chew up your hand. The hammer would chew up your hand. And so this is really a big upgrade. And that flat face trigger, it has a nice trigger to it. But you've got that high power capacity, and I'll tell you guys, it's just a lot of fun to shoot. You've got ambidextrous safeties. The G10 grips are really well done. I mean, Girsan has put out some really nice firearms, and it's great to see some versions that you just don't see anywhere else. And of course, this one has the accessory rail, which gives it a boost as well. I mean, this brings us up to a modern fighting pistol. And we've had zero malfunctions. It's just worked. And we've used other high power mags that just work with it. This is all compatible with your standard high power. So interchangeable parts are not going to be a problem, or if you have any kind of, you need a repair or something. But high power is just classic. It's legendary. And yet it's great to see it modernized. Beautiful. right, for disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, make sure the gun is empty. First thing you want to do is to bring back your slide. Now you'll notice there's two notches. There's your safety notch. This is your takedown notch. So we're going to bring it all the way back and then engage our safety into that forward notch. Next, right here, push from the other side, your slide stop, lift it up, and then just push it out. Very simple. And then take your safety off and then just go forward. Now with the recoil spring and guide rod, this is a little bit tricky because the rod needs to come through here. So we bring it up and kind of just move it to the side and then it comes out. One thing I like is they use that flat recoil spring. And so this gives it just that a little bit more recoil management. It is a step down recoil guide rod. And with the traditional high power, it was an enclosed circle. Here we have just this open end. Now you want to make sure that this fatter part is in the down position, or actually in the up position against your barrel, just like this, and we'll demonstrate that when we reassemble. Next, take your barrel, push it forward, and then just bring it right out. Of course, we have that 3.88-inch barrel. It's nicely polished and chrome plated, probably some electroless nickel, but very slick, and this is going to aid in reliability. When it comes to the slide, beautifully finished. I mean, they do an excellent job with their finishing. And then, of course, with the frame, pretty simple, but definitely Browning high power. And man, that's lightweight. Now for reassembly, we're going to bring our barrel back in, and we're going to take our recoil spring, put it over our guide rod. Again, we want that larger area against the barrel. Now, getting this back in, you've got to make sure that you can get the rod back through that hole. And so it's a little bit tricky, but you just want to push it through. And if you'll look at the end, you want to just make sure that's lined up. But once you get it through the dust cover, you can line this up. Now it actually rests in two little notches, and you'll have a circle that you can see right here. And that's where your slide stop's going to go through. So make sure you don't put it against the barrel. It kind of sets up just a little bit, and these surfaces are pretty even. Now take your slide and put it back over your frame. And we're going to, again, bring it all the way back and engage our notch right in our takedown notch. And take your slide stop, push it through just like that, and it snaps into place. Relieve your safety, check for function, and we're back in business. And that's typically the way the high power works. But with this shorter barrel and slide, the recoil spring has a little bit of a tighter fit. Now, keeping your firearms maintained and cleaned is vital. Otis makes some of the best cleaning equipment out there. They make a number of different kits that are dedicated for different rifles, pistols. They also have Shooter's Choice, which makes excellent CLP and bore solvent and different cleaning materials. The Ripcord is one of their signatures, and there's a whole system based around it. They are suppliers to the U.S. military. So check out Otis Technologies, highly recommended, and we want to thank Otis for being a sponsor of the channel. The Girsans come in a blue box. It is lockable. If you bring it out, we have our pistol. It is enclosed foam. It does have a cutout if you want to put your optic on there. And this is just for whatever size. You get your owner's manual, you get your lock, you get a bore brush, and it comes with one 15-round magazine. When it comes to the MSRP, for the basic, just traditional high power, those run $549. When you move it up to the lightweight with this shorter slide and the optics ready rail, this is $719 retail price. Go to your local gun shop, market price is typically going to be less. In fact, sometimes considerably less. Now, how does that compare with a standard high power? Well, these are running around $2,000. Once they stopped producing these, the price just went up. And so you get into collector versions, and they even go higher. And of course, you can right now pick up some surplus, pretty much beat up, but you can get those for around the $900 range. But the one thing about this particular model, the modifications here make this a much better shootable handgun, and you have your accessory rail, optics ready, beaver tail, still has that full grip. I mean, this is really a candidate for concealed carry. And if you like the Browning high power, this is going to be a lesser option. And honestly, the Browning high power is a full-size firearm. So what are some pros and cons? Well, we pretty much went over them with the beaver tail, the accessory rail, and the optics ready. Of course, you have the sights that are fiber optic at the front with a dovetail black sight at the back. Still retains the 15 rounds, G10 grips, undercut, flat face trigger, commander hammer, and you're not going to get that slide bite. And so this to me is a big plus, again, for concealed carry. What are some cons? Compared to the other high powers, I think this is a plus plus. We didn't have any malfunctions. It just ran like a top. We've had that with all the different Girsans. They're just well-built guns. Maybe long-term reliability or any kind of issues, I guess those remain to be seen. But overall, we had a great experience with this handgun, and it still carries that John Moses Browning design that has been so popular all across the world. And even for the features, with that price, you know, this is still a very reasonable handgun. Of course, these are coming out of Turkey. For some, that is a con, but Turkey is really bringing in some really quality firearms to the market for a reasonable price. So guys, while the original high powers are skyrocketing in price, it's great to see some other offerings, and Girsan is bringing in a lot of quality, and they're bringing this up to the 21st century. With this beaver tail, you're going to end the hammer bite, you have optics ready, you have your rail system, lightweight frame, a little bit more compact. This makes a great concealed carry option, especially if you're already in love with the original Browning high power. Those are great guns. This just takes it to another level. And again, there's a lot of other options that Girsan is offering to fit whatever you're looking for. So we want to give a big thank you to EAA Corporation for sending the Girsan MC P35 PI LW OPS for this review. Great gun. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Hammer. Now this has the Browning high power was designed 18, or did I say 419? I don't think I said 419. Well, which stands for the year it was produced. Okay. Popular used firearms. Okay. No. Which is your typical Browning. Yeah. John Moses, no. From the original high power. Okay, I don't think I did that right. No. This is the one that I really Again, it's the MC P35 LW PI OPS.